next is this painting and the next one I'm going to show you are hanging in a chapel, Santa Maria del Popolo, which is in Rome, and they actually are in this chapel directly across from each other. Now, in many churches in Europe, they have, rather than having the paintings lit all the time, they have these little boxes where you put a euro or whatever coin can work at the time. You put a coin in there and it illuminates briefly, so that way the light isn't necessarily bothering the image or whatever. So when you go, make sure you've got a pocket full of change. This is the crucifixion of St. Peter. As you might have learned in Sunday school, or not, St. Peter refused to be crucified right side up because he said he didn't deserve that, because that was reserved for Jesus. And so we see him here getting ready to be hoisted up on the cross, upside down. It's a powerful image, to say the least. A great example of tenebrism, and I think, you know, I like these images so much that to linger on them for a little bit doesn't hurt any of us. Of course, because of the way this is being done on YouTube, you can pause it and go get a glass of wine. All right, let me see what's next. This is the one that's opposite. This is the conversion of St. Paul, Saul Paul. Again, he was thrown from a horse and then blinded by the light, and that's when he received the Holy Spirit. And this is a pretty amazing painting. One of the things that Caravaggio does so well that knocks me out is foreshortening. I mean, look how interesting the foreshortening. Look at that horse's butt is coming directly at us. That's really hard to draw. Not that he drew it, he just directly painted it. The hands here, the figure of Paul coming toward us is just pretty amazing, I think, in terms of his virtuosity with line and form and color and all that sort of stuff. And it's a masterpiece, that's for sure. This next painting, also on display at the Borghese Gallery in Rome, is Mary, is St. Anne, and of course the Christ child. Notice here that Jesus, toddler Jesus, is stepping on a snake. A snake is a symbol of the devil, and this is again beautifully painted. Especially look at those halos, how delicately they're drawn. Such an interesting shadow up there. This was quite scandalous because you see, this is probably, for a lot of people, the first time they've seen Mary with cleavage. So in that regard, it didn't go over all that well with some. Next slide is the Deposition. This painting actually came to Cleveland, Ohio. I actually, with my wife, drove out there to see this one painting. One time we see Nicodemus lowering Christ into the tomb there that he's given up to him. And again, it's a powerful, beautiful painting. And check out how the stone from the tomb is coming out at us. That's pretty interesting, pretty great work there. Next, we have this particular theme. This is Judith beheading Holofernes. And Judith was a Hebrew, a wonderfully brave, daring, and beautiful, from the Bible story, Hebrew. And the Hebrews were under siege from the Assyrians, and times were pretty desperate. So Judith, with all of her charms, sneaked into the camp of Holofernes and charmed him, and paid several visits as she was flirting with him, and he fell for her and he fell for it. And ultimately she got him all drunk one night, and when he sort of passed out from all that, she cut his head off. So this is Alba, who was her maid, and she comes into play in most of these paintings. The next painting is actually not by Caravaggio, although it would be a great guess if you saw this on a game show. I would go with that. Artemisia Gentileschi, another Baroque painter, and the first female painter to be famous in her own time, painted this beheading of Holofernes, and the same characters, Judith, Alba, and of course this very gory scene. We know a lot about Artemisia because her father was a very accomplished artist, as so often was the case. For women to become accomplished artists, it really sort of required or not required, but necessitated a father involved. And he taught her as much as he thought he could, and then he found another teacher for her. That teacher, unfortunately, charmed her, and she fell for that, and ultimately, it did not work out in the sense that he was obliged to marry her because of what happened at the time, and he didn't. She claimed that he had raped her, and ultimately it went to court. And they, at the time, because they had every reason to not believe a woman, they put her in thumb screws and basically destroyed some of her fingers in this process. She never recanted, by the way. But I think we sort of know, that the reason she likes this theme so much, she painted it several times, is because of that action that had taken place in her life. The next slide up is similar, same theme, as you can see. Next, same theme, beautifully done, head in the basket. Enough said. And finally, this piece. Now this is, want to make sure I'm correct. We see that wonderful candle light there, by the way. Look how illuminated this painting is. But this is on the way into that time. And then we have this rather non-characteristic image. But I think I'm going to end on this for this particular lecture. I hope I haven't bored anybody. No one's asleep over there, are they? Okay, good. Well, anyway, I guess you know the title of this, an Annunciation. Some of you need to learn how to spell that, by the way. Ciao.